Hey guys, I'm going to run you through today how to do 3 of the tickets for herbicide application that you will be using most commonly and most often this summer. So right now we are on a Husky Energy project on Map It Fast. So if we zoom out a bit, we'll see our field here. So on your day-to-day, you'll be in the field doing your herbicide application. So at the very start of the season, this is what your field will look like. You have all your different polygons over the oil leases, and you'll see that they're all blue still, which means that none of them have been sprayed. So if we zoom in on a site here, you can kind of see the oil well and the lease underneath of the polygon. So let's say you pull up to the site, you're going to spray it. You get out, you spray the site. Afterwards, you have to fill out your herbicide application ticket. So you'll click on the polygon. You'll see it says everything about the polygon here. It says area 1.6 acres. We don't want it in acres. We want it to show the site in meters squared. So we'll click on the setting icons at the top right of your screen. It'll bring up the settings menu. We'll click on display settings and we'll say use metric. Click on save and go back to the screen. So now you'll click on the polygon and you'll want to take note of what it says for how big the area is. So you'll see that it says 6,340 square meters. So you want to remember that number. Now you'll go over to forms and you'll click on add form. So now you'll have all the different forms that come up. On the tablets you use, there won't be as many. But right here in the middle, you'll see it says Marksman Billable Work Ticket 2020. So that's the one that you'll want to click on. And you'll click on date. So you'll see it says date at the very top of the form. You'll click there. And now it's just going to walk you through the form. So for the most part, you can just select what date the day is that you are doing your herbicide application. So if it was today, obviously it'd be January 26th. Once you select that date, you'll swipe across the screen. It'll take you to the next window. So now you'll want to select which division of Marksman you are. So we have our 2 offices in Regina and in Lloydminster. So if you're working out of Lloydminster, you'll select Lloydminster and you'll select the type of work ticket that you're doing. So right now we're going to go through all the different herbicide application tickets. So you'll select herbicide application and you'll swipe to the next screen. So now you have the 3 type of herbicide application tickets. So you have your TVC ticket, which is your total vegetation control work ticket. You have your SVC, or selective vegetation control work ticket, and you have your warranted work ticket. So your total vegetation control ticket is the ticket that you're going to be using most often. So it'll be when you show up to a site and you spray the entire site. So you're trying to kill everything that is on that site and prevent anything else from growing. So at the start of the year, you'll have 2 or 3 different chemicals in your tank mix, and between those chemicals it's going to kill anything that is growing on the site, and it's going to lay down almost like a blanket over top of the site that's going to prevent any seeds from germinating, and therefore is going to prevent anything else from growing. So for the whole summer, that site that you just sprayed for TVC should be completely clear and free of weeds. So we'll select your TVC ticket and we'll swipe to the left again to get to the next screen. So now you have your size. So what is the size of your site? So this will be the number at the very start that I told you to remember. So when you first click on the polygon and it came up and it said that your size was 6,340 square meters. So enter that there, swipe to the next screen. So your job number. So the field that we are on right now is our Husky Furness field, which is just south of Lloyd. So in this box, you have all the job numbers for all of the different fields that we spray during the summertime. So you want to scroll down until you find Husky Energy Furnace. So the job number is 1073. So you'll want to click on that job number and it'll input it there for you. We'll swipe left to get to the next screen. So now you'll enter in who are all the crew members. So for the most part, there will be yourself and there will be your partner that you are working with for the day. So I'll enter my name, and let's say me and Cam are out spraying together. So for crew member number 2, I'll put in Cam's name as well. And then you'll swipe again to get to the next screen. So your crew supervisor, whoever your supervisor is that you're working for at the time, so you might be on my crew or you might be on Cam's crew. Whoever is your direct supervisor, you'll go to that box and you'll click on their name. So I'll say that me and Cam are out in the field spraying sites, and it is John that we are currently working for. So now you get to the next screen and you have your equipment information. So this is just usually where you'll put down the truck number that you're working in. So I'll say that me and Cam, or right now we are using R2001. So that's the truck that we're using. On your truck, it'll have a sticker or a decal on the side by your door that will tell you what truck number it is that you are currently using. So we'll swipe to the next screen. Start time. Whoops. So back to the screen. So the start time, you just click what time it is that you got to the site. So if you pull up on the site at 2 o'clock, you'll select 2 o'clock. Swipe to the next screen, and now you enter what time it is that you finished at. So you'll get to the site. Once you arrive on site, you'll see the time, take reference of what time it is. Okay, it's 2 o'clock. Spray the site. Let's say it's 2:30 when we finish it and we start doing our paperwork. So we'll say that the time was 2:30 when we finished. So now we have to enter the total time that it took us. So it took us 2 until 2:30, so half an hour. So we put that in a decimal form. So half an hour would be 0.5 hours. Let's say that if it took us 15 minutes to spray the site, 15 minutes would be 0.25 hours. So that's always how we reference the total time that it took. We won't write down half an hour or anything like that. It's always in a decimal. So you'll either put down 0.25, 0.5, 0.75, or 1 hour. So if it took us, let's say it took us 1 hour and 15 minutes to spray the site, for that you would put down 1.25 hours is how long it took you. And in that regard, you always are going to round up or round down to the nearest 0.25 of an hour. So let's say that it took us 1 hour and 20 minutes to spray the site. We can just round down to 1 hour and 15 minutes, or we could round up to 1.5 hours. So let's say you round it up from 1 hour and 20 minutes to 1 hour and 30 minutes. You just put in 1.5 hours. So we'll swipe to the next screen. So here you have all your different information regarding your method of application, how many Texas gates you sprayed, how much liters you sprayed. So method of application, for the most part, it'll remain as handgun. You'll pull up on the site, you'll get out of the truck, you'll grab your handgun, you'll pull out your hose, and you'll spray the whole site that way. So you'll leave that as handgun. If you were doing some sites and you had to have a backpack on and you were spraying off the backpack, then you would put down backpack spraying. Or let's say you're working with a second-year sprayer or a third-year sprayer, and they've been taught how to boom off their truck. If you're booming sites, then you would put down boom application. And this is just how you sprayed the most chemical on the site. So even if you boom sprayed a site, but you had to hand spray the berm, then you could still put down boom spray. But for the most part, this box will just be left as handgun. Spraying methodology. So you can either select entire area or spot treatments. So it's pre-filled already to entire area, because for most of the work that you'll be doing, you'll just be pulling up to a site and spraying the entire area of the site. Number of Texas gates sprayed. So Texas gates, they can also be called cattle guards. And what it is it's a bunch of metal rails that are laid down on the ground. And it's to prevent cattle from walking through them. So it's basically like a gate that is on the road. So what you'll do here is, a lot of the companies that we work for, they'll pay us to also spray the cattle guard to keep weeds free from it. So if you spray a site and there happens to be a cattle guard on it or Texas gate on it, then you'd click on this box and you just fill in how many Texas gates there were. So if there's just one Texas gate, you'll put down one Texas gate. Rate of solution sprayed per hectare. So whenever you're hand spraying, so if at the very top you'll see it says handgun for method of application. If you're using a handgun to spray the site, you'll be spraying at 1,000 liters a hectare. So that means for every 1 hectare that you spray, you should be spraying 1,000 liters of chemical. 1 hectare is equivalent to 10,000 meters squared. So this site that we just had, it was 6,340 square meters. So if you were to apply perfectly on the site, you don't spray too heavy, you don't spray too light, you get the perfect amount down, then ideally you should spray 634 liters on that site. So we'll swipe to the next screen. So on this screen we have all the weather information. So every site that you spray, every time you fill out one of these forms, you'll have to input down what the weather is. So for this, we'll use the weather network. So we'll look at the weather network to see what it's saying out. So let's say right now it's in the afternoon, it's getting a bit windier. We'll say it's 6 to 9 kilometer an hour winds. The wind source is coming, the wind source is northeast. Soil type is sand loam. Depending on where you're spraying, you can change this to sand and clay or just loam, clay. Most of the sites is a combination of sand and loam, so we'll leave it as that. We'll say the temperature is 19 degrees outside and the humidity is 45%. So when you fill out these boxes, if you pull up the weather network on your phone or on the tablet, it'll tell you all this information. So it'll tell you the wind speed, it'll tell you the wind source. So you just take that all and you just punch it into these boxes. So now we have information about what we're spraying. So select herbicide tank mix. So in this box, we have all the different types of herbicides and tank mixes that we spray throughout the summer. So a little while ago, I was saying how you might have 2 or 3 different chemicals that you have mixed into your tank. So let's say that we are spraying, let's say that right now, me and Cam, we're out spraying and we're spraying a tank mix of Esplanade and Navius. So we'll select tank mix number 1. And this is something that your manager will tell you ahead of time what chemicals you're spraying for the day. And they'll tell you where your chemicals are, what rates to mix it at, all that kind of information. What surfactant used? No. General targeted vegetation. So again, this all grasses and vegetation, broadleaf weeds, trees and bushes. If you're doing TVC, so total vegetation control, for the most part, you're going to be targeting all grasses and vegetation. So that's, again, when you come to the site, you're spraying it, and you're trying to leave it bare ground, weed-free. You don't want any weeds growing there. You want them all killed, and you don't want to have any misses so that nothing will grow there the rest of the summer. Distance to water, greater than 30 meters to water. If you're less than 30 meters to water, always notify your supervisor that you're by a lake. If it's a slough or if it's like a wet area on a farmer's land in a farmer's field, then it doesn't apply. It only applies if it would be a lake or if it's a moving body of water like a river. So in those circumstances, don't spray anything, notify your manager, and he will let you know what steps to take. Empty container disposal, rinsed and left on truck. So when you mix your chemical, Esplanade comes in small bottles. So let's say you run out of your Esplanade bottle, it's empty, give it a quick rinse out in your tank, and then just take the empty bottle, stick it on the chemical container on the side of your truck, just stick it inside, and then we always dispose of them back at the shop. So at the shop, we'll have an area set up for empty bottles, and that's where we'll put it. Or if you're working out of Elk Point on Cam's crew, he'll have a trailer and he'll have a bag set up in the trailer for you guys to put your empty bottles, and then he'll dispose of them later on. On to the next screen. Do you have a herbicide spill? We'll say no. If you did have a herbicide spill on site, let's say you grabbed a bottle of Roundup out of your chemical container, and there was a leak in it, or like the lid had fallen off and you didn't realize it and you spilled it all over the site, you could say, yes, I had a chemical spill. If so, how is the spill contained and cleaned up? So in this box here, you would just enter all the information. So ideally, at the very start of the year, we are going to show you the spill kits. We're going to show you what the spill kits all contain. We will demonstrate how to properly use a spill kit. We'll get you to demonstrate how you would use a spill kit. And the goal at the end of the day is that you're competent. You're going to be efficient and effective at cleaning up spills if you ever had one. This isn't something that happens very frequently. It's fairly rare that you would have a herbicide spill. But if it does, you'll know the measures to take to clean it up. So in this case, let's say you had a herbicide spill on an oil lease. So the type of soil there, it's sand and loam. So what you might do is you might take out the contents of your spill kit. You have a couple long pieces of fabric that act as dams. So you could dam in the spill so it doesn't keep on traveling. You close off the source of it. So let's say it's spilt out of a Roundup bottle. You'll make sure that the Roundup bottle isn't leaking anymore. And then you'll contain the spill, make sure it doesn't spread. You'll have pads that you can soak up the herbicide with. And you'll also have garbage bags and a shovel. So you could take a garbage bag, you could shovel up the dirty gravel that's now contaminated with the herbicide and put it in the bag. And then you can leave that bag in your chem container on the side of your truck. Notify your supervisor, and we'll get it disposed of properly later on in the day. But for purposes, we'll say that we did not have a chemical spill on this specific site that we sprayed. Going on to the next window, flag site to return. So for the most part, you'll leave this box as no. There's a few circumstances where you might change your answer to yes, flag the site. So those would be if, let's say you get to a site, you start to spray it, you're halfway down the site, and an oil tanker shows up, or a site operator shows up, or somebody shows up on site. And because you're not able to finish the site anymore because some other people are on site, you would say, yes, flag the site. And then in your comments, you'll explain why you flagged it. So you'll say, oh, flag site, truck showed up, we weren't able to finish. We were able to spray the whole inside of the site, but we weren't able to get to the berm. And then down the road, we'll see that the flight was sagged. We'll see that the flight was flagged. And we'll have somebody come back to finish it. But we'll say, no, we were able to finish the site. We don't have to flag it, and we'll move on. Add a new picture or diagram. So we'll say add. So for every site that we spray, we would like you to have at least 2 pictures. So we want one picture of the site itself. So just one picture from the entrance of the site showing what the site looks like. And then we want to have another picture showing what the LSD is of the site. So every site will have a sign at the entrance, and it'll give you a set of numbers that tells you what the location is of the site. So it might say 8 of 16, 32 of 48, west of the 3rd meridian. So we want a picture of that sign. So every site, you should have those 2 pictures at least. And then this is where you put in your comments describing the work on the site. So we could say, showed up to site, sprayed entire site, including berm. Some sites might be wet. There might be water in some of the corners, so you're not able to spray those areas. So we might also say, if there was water on the site, we might put down water is in northeast corner, was not able to spray there. So those would be our comments for the site. You don't need to have a whole lot, but you want to document everything that happened. Let's say on the way to the site you got lost, and then when you sprayed the site, it looks like it took longer. So maybe instead of it taking me and Cam an hour to this site, maybe we got lost on the way, and therefore this ticket says that it took us an hour and a half. So we could also include that in the ticket. Got lost on way to site, had trouble finding it. So we'll put down those comments, and then we'll put down the comments of everything that we did on the site as far as our herbicide application went. So this is very important that you document everything. On the office side of things, we'll see these tickets and we'll see how long it took you guys to spray each site. So if we see that on average, it's taking you 30 minutes to spray a site that is half a hectare. We'll be like, okay, yeah, 30 minutes to spray half a hectare, that's pretty good. And then if we see you have one ticket where it took you an hour and a half to spray half a hectare, then we're going to be going, okay, what's going on here like that? It took them 3 times as long to spray this site when it usually takes them half an hour. Like, what's the deal? So if we look at your comments on the ticket and it just says, got to site, sprayed site, then we're going to be having questions because we don't know exactly what happened that made it take that long. But if you put in your comments, had trouble finding site, finally got to it, went to start our pump wouldn't work, had to talk to manager, manager came out and fixed our pump. Then on the office side of things, we're going to understand why exactly it took you that long to spray the site. So it's very important that anything happens, you document it in your comments. Or for example, if we go back a page and we see where it says flag site to return, let's say whoever sprays the site, they say yes, a truck showed up, they couldn't finish spraying the site. In your comments, you would also put that there. So instead of saying, sprayed entire site, we might say showed up to site, sprayed majority of site, truck showed up, we were not able to spray the berm. Entire site is finished except for berm. Please come back at a later date and finish. And then people will see the ticket and they'll know that the berm still has to be sprayed and we can get another truck out there at a later date to finish the site up. So this is also where we'll take a picture. So we'll take a photo of the site and we'll do one of the site and then we'll swipe to the next screen. We'll say add another picture. We'll take a picture again, and this time we'll take a picture of the site sign. Swipe again, add one more. No, we just want our 2 pictures. We'll say do not add. And you're at the end now. So that's pretty much all you have to do for a TVC ticket. It took me a while to go through there to kind of explain everything to you. But once you've done a few of them, you kind of catch on to it pretty quickly. Especially when you're doing 15, 20 of these tickets a day, you kind of fall into a pattern of it. And by the end of it, it's only really ever going to take you a few minutes to kind of get through all this information. So we'll click Save Form and Exit, and it'll go back to the map here. So that's all you really got to do. It'll take a few minutes for it to upload. Right now, if you click on it, you can go to Forms, and we'll see that ticket there. So you know that it's uploaded properly. Once it's given a few minutes, this polygon should turn a green color. So I'll just change it right now just so you can see what it'll look like. But if I change the color and click Save, once your ticket's uploaded, it'll take a few minutes, but eventually it'll change colors and look like that. So now you can go through the area, you can see, okay, we've sprayed this site, we still have all the rest of these sites to do. And if there's a few other trucks out in the field with you, they'll see the tickets, they can see the polygons as well and know that you guys have sprayed them.